What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the STR Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mark Lumpkin, and this week I'm bringing you another Monday market data report. We're going to keep doing these short little segment series for you guys, talking about different markets across the country, talking about investor demand, talking about that short-term rental market and tourism. And then this week we're talking about the amenity stack and how you can stand out in this market based upon what amenities you have and what your competition has. And so without further ado, we're talking about Seattle, Washington. We're going to the Pacific Northwest, where I was born and raised, and we're going to break down what that market looks like if you're considering investing up there. And so let's talk about active listings and inventory. There's roughly 5,100 active listings. Inventory is up about 50% over the last couple of years with more and more competition. And so that's why these amenity stack is going to be so valuable if you're coming into this market and you want to compete, or if you have an existing home and you're wondering why your revenue is dropping. We're at about a 52% citywide occupancy, and we see an average daily rate of about $229. And so obviously that's going to be skewed based upon some really high highs and some really low lows. Depending on where you're at in your bedroom bathroom count, revenue can range drastically here from anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 a year. So it really depends on how you amenitize your property, where it's located, and how many people you sleep. But that's a little bit of the background data. There is close to 40 million travelers a year that travel to the Seattle or the Kings County area every single year. That's a lot of travelers. 40 million people a year, guys, is a bunch. It's a huge driving location for places like Portland, Vancouver, even Silicon Valley and LA are really some of the top places that people come from. They jump on a quick flight and they make it up there in a few hours. And then when we talk about international traveling, it's definitely Canada, right? You're so close to the Canadian border. Canada makes up about 73% of all international arrivals. That's based on historic data. I'd be curious what that looks like lately. Canadian travel to the United States is down 20% all across the board because of recent tariffs and global tensions. And so that's very interesting to know that a huge percentage of the Seattle market travelers are coming from Canada. And we know that lately we've had a lot less Canadian travelers. Something to consider, something to think about. Seasonality. The peak season is definitely summer. You're going to get a peak in fall as well, but June, July, and August are going to be absolute gold mines. That's going to make up a drastic percentage of your revenue. When you find yourself in the deep of winter, January, February, March, revenue is down almost 75% versus the peak summer months. And if you've never been to the Pacific Northwest, there's a reason for that. It is dark and gloomy and cloudy and just misty. It doesn't rain, it just mists for like 4 months straight. You don't see the sun. You're like vampires. That's why they made that movie with the vampires out there. I don't know what it's called, but I know you guys like it. And so then keep on rolling, guys. Some X factors. You got the FIFA World Cup coming to Seattle for 6 different matches in, I think it is, when is this thing? This thing's coming in June of this year. That's going to bring millions of travelers for a very short period of time. That could be a great opportunity for people to capitalize on if they already have a short-term rental out there. Let's talk about regulations. Seattle's relatively host-friendly when it comes to setting up a property. It's pretty easy to get a license. They don't have huge fees for that. However, they have a rule that if you have more than 1 unit, you have 2 units, you have to be an owner-operator of that second unit. It must be your primary residence. You got to live there 6 months out of the year. I'd be curious if we have any property managers that are listening in that are operating out there and how they manage that, because it sounds like they've got some pretty hard caps on the number of units that you can manage and operate at any time. I don't know if that applies to property managers or if that's just for how many you can own, but it could be a good place to get 1 unit and do well. If that's something you guys are interested in, I would definitely look a little bit deeper into the red tape and the STR regulations. I just did a quick scan for the purposes of this pod. Let's talk about amenities, trends, and what moves the needle, guys. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of corporate travelers. You're going to see things like high-speed internet, dedicated workspaces are going to be not just nice-to-haves. They're going to be must-haves in a market like this. You also see a lot of people pivoting to more of like a 30 to 90-day furnished rental, more of like a midterm rental. So that's pretty interesting because you get those corporate travelers that are coming in for maybe more than a few days. They're staying for a couple of weeks or a month or two. What do the market metrics look like? So active listings, we got 5,100 active listings. Inventory is up over 50% over the last couple of years. It's very competitive in that market compared to what it used to be as far as number of listings. Average daily rate is actually relatively low in the mid 200s, and occupancy is about 52% citywide. But there are properties that are very well done, top tier, that are in that 80-90% occupancy range. So it's totally doable. We talked about seasonality, guys. We talked about the regulations. Let's just dive right into what does the amenity stack look like? What do people have that you're going to have to compete with if you're in Seattle? And it's probably the least amenitized market. I know I maybe say this all the time, but this one has to be the least amenitized market of any market I've ever seen. That's probably because of the demographic. You've got a lot more corporate travelers. You have a lot more midterm rentals, things like that. You have a lot of condos and city apartments that can't even have amenities. And then you've got a lot of the kind of the shotgun style properties that have small backyards that don't have room for much. Let's get into it though. The number one amenity in the Seattle market is a fire pit. Only 16% of properties in Seattle have a fire pit. Number two is a home gym. To me, that makes sense. I'm surprised that's not number one, considering how many corporate travelers come in, but only 8% have home gyms. The next one is a hot tub. Only 8% have hot tubs as well. And so if you guys take a home gym and a hot tub and that's all you do, you are going to be in the top 90 percentile and you are going to flush out almost all of your competition, which is just crazy to think about that 2 quick, easy amenities would do that for you. And I would assume most properties, unless they're condo style home, have the opportunity to do that in Seattle. So there you go, guys. That's the playbook. Just get a gym and a hot tub and you'll crush it. If you want to go even further, you can talk about who's got a game room. Almost no one have game rooms. There's about 3.5% of people that have game rooms. 3.3% of properties are waterfront. And then one of my favorites, the sauna, only 2.7% of people have saunas. I would assume that less than 1% of listings have sauna and hot tub combo. We talk about that a lot. It can be a great way to stand out and really create a one-on-one property. Basically, no one has a pool table, less than 2%. 1.3% have movie theaters. Less than 0.5% have swimming pools. Less than 0.5% have pickleball courts, and less than 0.5% have mini golf courses. There are practically zero super properties in Seattle. If you could find one, you would create a one of one. It would be super unique. This market with 40 million travelers obviously has the type of demand in order to support a couple of super properties, probably quite a few, but no one's really done it. If you guys have any details, you're like, Mark, I got a property in Seattle that does this and this and this, I'd love to learn more about it. Please reach out to me. I hope that was helpful, guys. We're gonna keep cranking these out. We got another episode coming out this Friday, with a very cool special guest. I'm excited to have them on. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you guys next Monday for another Monday Market Report.